Hi! Today I'm going to show you some of my favorite stretches. As you know, for each part, like hips, shoulders, back, legs, there is hundreds of stretches and they are for sure all good, and there is so much. Like, stretching is a whole book, like a big book. Today I will give you the ones which I am trying to do regularly, which I like when I, for example, don't do a stretch hour, but I try to incorporate them in the warm-up or in the cool down. Because, for example, of course, if you do aerial, your shoulder tend to get stiff. So you should always do something for your upper back shoulders after the aerial to loosen it up again or keep it loose. And the legs itself, I mean, it's a whole thing. I do have quite stiff hip flexors. So the last 2-3 months, I've been deciding to work a little bit more intensive on it. And that's what I'm doing. So I will show you the exercises I do basically in the warm-up for the hip flexors. And then I show you what I do in the cool down on the back. And if you have questions, text me if you want to have more specific shoulder exercises, or if you want to have a whole upper back program or something, then tell me about it, because this is general. I try to show from each body part, like some exercises, which I personally found were helping me the most. But again, if you are already super mobile, they maybe are too easy. This is kind of basic stretches, but they don't really change so much. You can always lean more back or something. So let's start with the hips, or with the hip flexor. This is the one I do in the warm-up before I do the aerial. So I always make sure that my back hip is kind of elevated. So that's important. So you can use 2 blocks. You can put your knee on one block and your foot on one, or even use a higher mat. Depending on your mobility, you should go up with your back leg. That's kind of important. So then let's see if this works. I have about 90 degrees in the front here. I have my 90 degrees here, and I'm leaning back. So I'm really activating my core, and I'm pulling this up, my hip flexor up. The glutes are engaged, and I push forward while I'm leaning back. So this is really an activation, because stretching is not just relaxing and resting. It is a lot of muscle activation. Also, if you want to stretch this part, the back part, your antagonist, needs to be strong. Otherwise, your body will never give in. So strengthening one part in order to stretch the other part is super important. So leaning back. Once you have done about 30 seconds, you straighten your front leg. You kind of fold your hip. It's like folding a sheet, and you want to fold over. The chest goes forward. You flex your foot all you can. This is a flexed foot. This is a really flexed foot. So pull it back. It gives an extra stretch here in the back of your calves as well. And then you just push your heel into the floor and you lean forward. Even this you do for about 30 seconds. Again, 30 seconds is kind of a good number. If you do less than 20, your muscles won't relax. There is different studies. Some say stay in it for 5 minutes. Some people say after a minute there doesn't happen so much more. So I don't dare to say anything about it there. But 30 seconds is normally quite good if you do a flow, which is more than one exercise. The next one is that you straighten your back leg. You still lean back as much as you can, and you don't use your hands for like leaning on it. You maybe use it for pushing yourself back. So the hip wants to go down. You want to roll it in and push it down. Your back leg wants to push back the heel. You want to straighten it as much as you can, and you want to sink down. And again, lean back. The more mobile you are, the more you can lean back and sink down. Push. So it's really an activation. You will feel it. You should feel it mostly here. You always want to go away from your front leg. Yes. And this one you hold for 30 seconds as well. Yeah. And then you do this twice on each leg. So I would recommend to do it like repeat the whole thing one more time on this leg, and then do the other leg. So you can pause the video and do it on both sides. And then I show you the next exercise. So another exercise which I do like a lot for the hip flexor is, again, you are going into a frog position with one leg on the block like this. So you have the legs kind of 90 degrees, but they will turn in a bit. You will probably need a block in your front hand, and then you turn You kind of turn a little bit to the side, sitting back. You can use the hand here if you have something, or you hold it here. And you grab your back leg. You go around with your arm. And then you kind of turn this downward. So you want to push your hip down towards the floor and the knee away from your body. And you don't want to lean forward. You want to lean back as much as you can, pushing your hip down. So you have a good grip. Sitting almost a little bit back and leaning towards the back leg. And then just pushing your hip down and resting. This one you can hold for like 30 seconds to a minute on each side. And you will feel, if you repeat it, it will get easier. Yeah. So this is another exercise which I do like a lot. And it's called the hip breaker. And when you do it, you will know why. So the last exercise for the hip also looks super simple, but again, like is for one part of the hip, which is easy to miss. Like I'm quite good in the middle split. I can sit in the middle split, but I do have a hard time with that one because it's also the hip flexors in the front, which is part of the bridge and part of other things. So I will do it with the back too, or I can do it sidewards. What you want to do is you go as far into a frog as you can for this exercise, that you still can push your hip forward. And then what you do is you push your hip forward as much as you can, engage your glutes again, and lean back. So pushing the hip forward, leaning back, like putting your hands here. The legs are 90 here, even though your legs are apart. And breathe. Once you have done this for like 30 seconds, you will sit down. So you try to sit down. You can use a block if you need to sit on a block without like getting your legs too much in. So you don't want to go too far in. So either you sit on a block or you try to sit on the floor, keeping your legs there. And again, leaning back, pushing your hips forward. This one is intense, at least for me. So then you are there, sitting there. Again, 30 seconds. And then you do one more time. Maybe slide your legs a bit further apart from each other. And then you do again, repeat, pushing your hips forward, rolling them in, rolling them out like this, pushing them forward and leaning back. Engaging the core. So it's not like you don't want to put the pressure on your lower back. You want to engage your core and lean back like this. And you should really feel it, especially the coming out. Yeah. So this is 3 exercises which are very helpful, I think, in the hip. A conditioning exercise for the hip, which is my total favorite, is you can use it for working on your pancake, or you can use it for working on your middle split, depending on where you put your leg. So if you have it further up high, it will be a pancake exercise. And if you have it a bit further down, you work a little bit more on the muscles for the middle split. This is conditioning stretching. So see that you have something where you can put your leg under. So if it's a bed, or if it's a table, or if it's a stall bar, that's up to you. And put it on a height where you find, okay, you can be there. That's still okay. You put the weight on the other foot like this. So you kind of, kettlebell is the easiest. You could have ankle weights. Make sure that you have a distance so you can put it up. You see it's hanging on my foot, so I point it a little bit. I don't flex it totally. Then you place your leg under the stall bar, a little bit closer to you, so it's not quite 90. And then you start to move your leg up and down. You do this about 5 times. And you take a weight which you find possible to lift. Here I have 6 kilo. If I want my legs to get further down, I take a little bit heavier, but then of course the lifting is harder. So 6 kilo for me is about good, but start with like 3 kilo and then you just rest there, stay there, and let the weight do its job to slowly bring you down. Yeah. So this is a nice one. I like it a lot. It makes your legs strong, in the same time makes you more mobile. Last exercise, similar, but for the front, is like this. You are like a stall bar, helps a lot for all these exercises. I'm really happy I have a stall bar. You can have a bed, edge of a bed, or a table leg or something else, but of course stall bar is very helpful. I'm going to put one leg again under the stall bar. You can choose the height again, put it where you find it possible or okay to do. So you have been warming up your hip and everything. So then you have put the block under your lower back. You take the leg, to go a little bit further, over your head. You can have it here, 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 wherever it feels okay for you to put it there. And then you take the weight, okay, put it the other way. So it's like this. And then you do the same thing. So make sure that your leg is not too far to the side. And then you go up and down a few times, conditioning first. Going up and down, conditioning. And in the end, let it hang down, straighten your leg. So don't bend it. It's really important that it's straight and tension. And slowly let it pull you down. Good. And then come out and do the other leg, of course. So this is my leg exercises. Like, you can do a session out of it if you repeat them like twice each of them, and you warm up a bit before and you do all of them intensively, you already are up in 20 minutes, 30. You can also just pick 2 of them and add them to your training depending on how you feel. Try them out, see which one works good for you. For the back, I will again, for today, I will give you the exercises I am doing. I have to say that I have been injured, so I had a double shoulder surgery after each other. So over 3 years, I was like doing rehab and working on getting my arm back over my head from being totally, basically paralyzed. So my back has been taking its toll. It's not what it used to be before, and the aerial hasn't especially helped. So I'm doing super basic exercises, but they're really helpful. And one thing with back is, one part is shoulders, which of course for me has been compromised a lot, so I'm working on them. The other part is upper back, which is kind of hard to work on, and it's not big exercises. It's a lot of turning, which helps the upper back, because kind of twisting makes your back more mobile, and side bending. I'm going to show you some 1-2 shoulder exercises for now, and upper back, because that's for me the biggest problem. So upper back, it's nothing fancy, and anyway I'm suffering. I have 90 degrees. I put the arms kind of behind my head, and I turn my back as much as I can against the stall bar. And then I'm leaning back, trying to round and breathe. And then I go forward and try to get my elbow to my hip, kind of rounding it. Same thing again, back, breathe, turn my back. And then from there, I turn my whole body towards the back. And I do the same, bend, forward, bend back, turn, and come back. It looks simple, but often really specific, simple exercises are more productive than big crazy stuff. Work on details, whatever it is. Work on your details, see what is your weak point. You can always text me, I can give you specific exercises for you as well. And yeah, try it out. The second one is the simple cat, as the simple pose when you have your legs about 90. The further out you have them, the easier it is, of course, to come down. So the more close you have them, the more it will be pressure. Your hands go forward slowly, and you try to not be too much there, but like 90 degrees, and looking forward, putting your chin on the mat, and then hands forward, and then slowly breathing and releasing your upper back again, looking forward. and then come back up and maybe sit back. So what I'm focusing there is like getting my chest slowly towards the floor. If that works, close your legs, do the same thing again, use blocks. You can put your hands on blocks, you can even put your chin on a block so you get a little bit more extra stretch in your chin. When you do that, don't make your chin long, always like push it together and bend it back. So you always want to protect it. As you can see, when I do this, I can speak. When I do this, it kind of pushes my cord and my muscles here. So push your neck together and push it back, and you are kind of more safe. It's more safe for your neck. So if you put it on a block, make sure you have it in that way. The same thing which you do on the floor, you can do against the wall. And again, there you can play with your mobility. There is not really a limit. So you have your hands up, straight over your head. You're leaning against the wall, and then you put your chin on, arms not too wide apart. Look up and slowly sink down. Bend your legs, straighten. Push your head back. Yeah, so there you have an exercise. The further down, the further away you go, the more bend you get, and on that one you can work for a long time. Last but not least, about the shoulders, I would like to write a whole book because I have so many exercises and I have been going through everything with the shoulders. So I've been learning a lot about them. They're super interesting and we really have to take care of them. But mobility wise, like an exercise when you do it with like loading, you can do it just like this. Have your arm up, turn your hands in like this, so it's like there, and just do small pulses. If you keep your everything here straight, this is shoulders, this is shoulder mobility. Going back like this, this is your shoulders working. You use weights, you place yourself on the stomach, which means you can't really like cheat so much. Put your arms over your head, forehead on the floor. Same thing, put them like this, and then lift your arms above your head while you're kind of trying actually to push your shoulders down. This is one. And the second one would be that you kind of toss it. So you try to catch, throw, catch, throw, catch, throw, catch, and go to the side and back. And of course, the more heavy weight you have, the harder it gets. I did use now 1 kilo. Shoulders are not like giants, 2 kilo, and you will have to work. So this is a few stretches. There is a million more. I love stretching. I really think it's interesting, and the more you nerd yourself inside, the more fun it is. There's rubber bands, there's weights, there's lots of things. So let me know if you want to have more exercises. Let me know if these ones were helping you and what direction you want to have more. There is a whole world, and yeah, good luck with your stretching and see you soon again.